I did.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
There's the
now
light.
we're live.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
We're going to get this thing figured out sometime.
Not anytime soon.
Sure.
Just going to wait a couple seconds and let a few people
We will.
get on. And looks like some people are starting to get on here.
Yep, that's good.
Somebody's on here already. Oops, there's somebody else. Okay, wait a couple more minutes. We see some names scrolling through. We're ready to go. We've even got some people starting to like it.
I like it.
Thank you. We haven't even sent anything yet. I
maybe
love it.
Maybe we shouldn't because they like us now. That's right. All right. So, I think we can begin.
All right. Hi, my name is Cheryl, and I'm a believer who struggles with codependency.
I'm John. I'm a believer who struggles with alcoholism. I'd like to kind of start off tonight with a prayer. Let's pray. Dear God, I just thank you for this time. I thank you for everybody that's here and the people that are going to be coming. And God, as we complete another day, just thank you for allowing us to truly appreciate you and to love you and to know that you are in control even when our circumstances are not. And just allow all those that are still fighting the disease to truly get well and to recover, and their families. And God, it's just a time that we need to be closer to you and closer to everyone else we can be than ever before. And just bless our time together tonight. Amen. All right.
Your turn.
I know. I was just enjoying the prayer. Tonight we're going to give you some things to think about, some tips for attending our very, very first online summit. Now, we've had summits since 1999, but they've always been where you come to Saddleback or you come to Knoxville, Tennessee, and see us there. But this year, it's a little different. There's something about gathering together, 10 or more, and I think we usually get around 3,500 at each of the summits. So I think we have to do it a different way this year. We are. And that's going to be our very first online summit. And there's some really kind of exciting things about that. Let me just kind of go through a few of them. We're just going to give you some tips and some just an idea of what it's going to be, because it is different, and it's a little different for us too. Now, don't forget that when you sign up, 5 people for the online summit, which is coming in July 30th and 31st, which is right around the corner. Well, it'd be nice if we'd be rid of the virus and everything by then, wouldn't it? But one day at a time. Certainly that's what we've been doing, and I'm certainly a lot of you live one day at a time too. But what we're going to do is, with 5 people, if you bring 5 people or buy 5 tickets, the 6th one is free. If you bring 50 people, and then you'd have 10 free tickets. So, is that right? I think so. Right?
6th one's free.
Well, yeah. So
we're not good at math, are we?
We can.
You guys figure it out.
I think it'll be 10 free. Anyway, but the thing is, if you want your Celebrate Recovery to get together, or your Celebrate Recovery and another Celebrate Recovery together, you could get that reduces the price with those free ones too. So, we're excited about the price because it's $49, and that is amazing. And I know times are tough, and that's why we decided that this is the time really just all we're trying to do is break even. And God will take care of that. $49. We're trying to do this year to cover again all our production costs, our technical costs, our travel, accommodations, and the national team, and we wanted to make it that you didn't have to come anywhere, because who knows what's going to be. God knows, but who knows what's going to be as on July 30th and 31st as far as our friend the virus goes. Hopefully it'll be gone, but we don't know. So we're going to be able to do it. You'll be able to watch it from your house or your apartment, and it's a safe way to do it. It's a safe way to do it, that's for sure. And my prayer is next year we're back celebrating as a family all together, and but we're going to make the very best out of this year. talking about the summit. We've been texting ideas and emailing through and Zooming all the time, but before we get to some of the tips of the summit, Cheryl's going to just kind of tell us a story that she's been reading. We find that we're spending a little more time in the Word, which is kind of nice. We have a little more time to spend there. That's not an excuse, I guess, when you don't. Anyway, we'll just leave that one where it is. And we're spending more time in the Word, and she found a new favorite Bible character.
It's a new favorite story. You know how you read the Bible so many times and things escape your notice, but this one just really caught my attention, and it's Acts 16, 13, and 15. On the Sabbath, we went outside the city to the river, where we expected to find a place of prayer. We sat down and began to speak to the women who had gathered there. One of those listening was a woman from the city of, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but I'll say Thyatira, named Lydia, a dealer in purple cloth. She was a worshiper of God. The Lord opened her heart to respond to Paul's message. When she and the members of her household were baptized, she invited them to her home. If you consider me a believer in the Lord, she said, come and stay at my house, and she persuaded us. I don't know what you're doing there.
I'm actually trying to turn this up. There we go. All right.
Were you able to hear me okay? I'm just going to assume that you did. Okay, when I read the story about Lydia in the Bible, I just couldn't get her out of my mind, and so I couldn't figure this out, so I went back to the Bible several times, several days in a row, and read it and thought, why is this resonating so strongly with me? If you research Lydia, you'll find more information about how she was in the business of selling purple cloth, and that was a big deal in biblical times. And although I admired her enterprising nature, that really wasn't what drew me to her, I didn't think. Then there was speculation about whether she was a widow, because it was unusual for a single woman to run a business by themselves, and she talks about inviting everybody back to her house. When we read these verses, we learn that sometimes it was common knowledge that people gathered for worship, because Paul says on the Sabbath, we went a little outside of the city to a riverbank where we thought people would be meeting for prayer. We sat down to speak with some women who had gathered there. Now, I like to think that the women had their own unique way of spreading the word about where they were going to worship and gather. Maybe they talked about it in the marketplace while watching the kids or talking to their neighbors. Because the news about the riverbank worship has spread, that's why Paul knew to go there, and the people had decided to congregate there for worship. And Lydia was there, and that's what spoke to me. Lydia had made the choice, the decision, to go where she could be with others like her who wanted to worship God. And that reminded me of Celebrate Recovery. We choose to attend. We know where to go with people who will love us and accept us and are like us, dealing with hurts, hang-ups, and habits. The circumstances might not often feel like we have a choice because our lives are unmanageable, but ultimately we make the choice to attend. She showed up. If you're new to this whole idea of Celebrate Recovery or recovery in general, please just show up. The summit is going to be a great way for you to do just that. We need to keep remembering there are still people out there who do not know about Celebrate Recovery. We need to share as many ways as possible, learn all kinds of ways to lead them to Celebrate Recovery so they can accept Jesus Christ in working with their hurts, their hang-ups, and habits. Now back to Lydia. When Lydia was there with Paul, the Lord opened her heart. She accepted Christ that day, and that is awesome. But if she had missed that particular Sunday, she might have missed accepting Christ. Sometimes in CR, we just don't want to go, and that's when it's the most important time for us to show up. Maybe you even want to skip your online share group this week, their open share group, but that might just be the meeting that you need to attend, that you can't afford to miss. Again, even during these crazy times, we need to keep showing up, and we want to invite others as well. So let's emphasize this again. At the gathering, she had chosen to attend, her choice. She turned her life over to Jesus Christ, just like we do in Principle 3. Consciously choose to commit all my life and will to Christ's care and control. But here's the best part. That story isn't over yet. I love this part. She was baptized along with other members of her household. she reached out and changed the lives of others. She worked Principle 8, yield myself to God to be used to bring this good news to others, both by my example and by my words. Lydia reached out and spread the word of Christ. Now, I'm guessing that Lydia was not the type of woman who stopped sharing the good news with just her household. But even if that were the case, if those were the only people she told about Christ, just think how many other people would have been affected by and been reached out by the members of her household alone. So here we are in a pandemic, struggling with our own issues and trying to find purpose in this time in our lives, and we have some choices. We can choose to show up at our CR open share groups and be with others like ourselves who are struggling with hurts, hang-ups, and habits. We can show up for things like these Facebook Lives. And you guessed it, we could register for the summit and learn some more about our issues and inviting people to share the word of Christ. We can invite people to our CR pages. We can share the links to our online church services so that others can hear about Jesus Christ through all different ways. And now about the summit. We can learn even how to begin Celebrate Recoveries while you're at home. Spoiler alert, all you have to do is send an email to your pastor inviting him to attend this online summit. At the summit, we're going to worship, we're going to laugh, and our Celebrate Recovery is going to come out of this unparalleled time in history stronger than ever before.
All right. Well, we're going to get practical, and we're going to answer a few questions that we've been getting, but we're going to have enough time, unless I go long, which I never do. But we're going to have enough time for you to ask us some questions, and we're going to get Marnie on the phone, and she's going to give us the questions you're asking, and we'll do our very best to answer as many as we can. So I wanted to get you ready for that too.
Somebody said you might need to speak a little bit louder.
A little bit louder. Okay. All right, I will definitely do that. Let me know if this is better. Is it better?
I can tell it's better.
Well, you know better because you're sitting by me. All right. So let's go. I will talk louder, and I have a low speaking voice.
It's a quiet man.
Yeah, and I could blame it on my age, but it's been since I was 13, I think. So, which was a few years ago. All right. So here's some of the questions that we have, and then we're going to answer your questions. Somebody asked a question last week on how do we register. Great way to start. Great way to start. Very simple. You go to celebraterecovery.com, which is our website, and that is there for you to enjoy the whole thing, but you can register. Just register for the online summit, and you could go to crsummits with an S.com if that would be busy. They are both open now and will be until hopefully
Till the summit.
Till the summit. We're pretty close. We'll probably close it a few days before. Okay, so now, what does the registration cost? The registration cost for the 2 days, $49. $49. 2 full days of teaching, testimonies, and encouragement. Worship. We are invited, some special guests, and we haven't got a 100% confirmation yet. So Cheryl knows I want to tell you who they are.
So badly.
But next week, I hopefully be able to tell you who they are, and I know you're going to like them. So $49 is going to be 2 full days of teaching, testimonies, encouragement, worship, like I said. All right, now why is there just one summit this year? Someone would ask that one. And it was because we would have loved to be able to do it in Orange County like we planned at Saddleback, and also at in Tennessee, in Nashville. Yep. And but just one little problem is that we can't gather, and I figured even if we could by then, we could gather at 10 or more, we'd probably have a few more people attend. So we are going to do this, and I'm really excited about it. We've never done it before, and it's fun to try new things, and I think it's going to turn out really good. So that's why there's one summit. All right, now, someone asked, can we have, and this is new terms for me, I'm an old man, said, can we have watch parties? Now, I don't think that is where we bring our fancy watches to. Maybe so. But I think it's where you sit down together and you watch the conference together, which I love. I would encourage.
And if they can in their area.
Yes.
You mean like go to a church or a house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point, Cheryl. She does keep me out of trouble. That's good. Anyway, so we've got, if hopefully by then we'll be able to meet in 2s and 4s or whatever, maybe even 10 people, and we'll be able to enjoy the summit together. But if we can't, stay in your house and you will enjoy it that way. So that's something I want to tell you. The other thing is, if you can invite people over, or you go to your church and have your Celebrate Recovery all watch it, I would ask you to do this, is have everybody buy a ticket, because $49, this is not as inexpensive as I thought when you start getting all the satellites and everything else, and we're going to have a band, we're going to have worship, it's going to be a regular summit with the expenses, and then we're going to be taking it all over the world. I think there'll be places all over the world watching. That's pretty cool. All right?
But just like if you were coming to the summit, you'd have to register as an individual to go to the summit.
Right.
We're kind of asking you to do the same thing if you're watching it online. If you're watching it in the same house, we would appreciate it if you would buy a registration for each person that's watching it.
Yep. And now let's see another one. All right, this was the price of the summit last year and for several years before that. We've been doing summits since 1999, and we've had on a regular basis, annual basis, we've had over 6,000 people actually come to one of the 2 sites, the 2 churches that we've had. Every year we've sold them out. So this is new territory. So you save $300. Now another question we got, which is a good one. Will we get the materials? Where will we get the materials we're going to use during the sessions? Well, thanks to the digital world, when you register, we will send you a number back that'll help you. I don't understand how this all will work.
But Marnie does.
Yeah, Marty does. But we'll send you a number back that I think you put in, and that will open up the summit that day. But we also are going to send you a downloadable notebook. So you're going to get a notebook as if you would be here. The only problem is you've got to print it out. But I will guarantee you this, it's got plenty of fill-ins, because I am the king of fill-ins. I love fill-ins, and but you'll have that. You'll have everything you need to enjoy the 2 days.
Well, now, if you have been to the summit before and you've seen those big old notebooks, this will be much smaller for you to print out at your home.
Yes, because we don't need a list of restaurants and other things like that, but it'll have all the notes and all the fill-ins in there for you. All right. What are we going to do about the time zones? How can we watch it from one country to another country in time zones? That's a pretty good question, and I wish I knew all the answers. But they're figuring that out, and what we're going to do is the summit will be able to be watched or viewed for 48 hours. So somehow that'll all work out. That's what I've been told, and I believe them. I really think it will. But that's the time zone. Now, what?
We had some tips too.
Well, I know you do.
Oh, I thought you were going to someplace else.
I was just getting ready for the rest of my talk. So
Okay, there's a few tips. I like to plan ahead, and as you can see, John does not. Now, we've switched as we got older, because when I was younger, I was more spontaneous and he was the planner, but now, you have to make up for each other, so now I like to plan. Mm-hmm. So if I were going to be attending the online summit, I was trying to think of some things that you might want to start thinking about, because you've got plenty of time to get some things situated. So the first thing I would do is take a look in your home and figure out where you think you're going to be listening and watching the summit. Are there some things that need to be rearranged to make yourself more comfortable so that you can be online for 2 days? So that would be the first thing I would do. Then I would explain to people, and sometimes you need to repeat yourself more than once to be heard. I would I would tell people what you're going to be doing. Sorry, babe, I didn't mean to look at you like that. I said that.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be pick on John, but you know, why not?
Sorry. Anyway, you might want to explain to others what you're going to be doing and how they can help. They might really want to be able to help you carve out a little place and start watching. Now, if you've got kids at home, you might want to start collecting a few activities that are just special for the summit that you can put away and have for the summit. And if you do get interrupted, remember that the summit will still be on for 48 hours, so you can go back if your kids interrupt you, and they will. You can go back and see the parts that you missed. I would have headphones so that if there are some things that are being said that you don't want the kids to hear, you can put on your headphones. And then I would start planning for a group of people that I could text when I had an aha moment or when there was something kind of fun to talk about. I'd already have that group text ready to go. And then I would invite your pastor to attend the online summit. And we'll have more tips as we get closer to the summit, but we just wanted you to start planning ahead for those of you that are planners, and those of you that want to wait to the last minute, you can certainly do that as well.
All right. Well, Marnie is on the phone, and she's going to give us some of your questions, and we're going to attempt to answer them. Marnie, are you there?
Hi, how are you?
How you doing? All right. So, do you have some questions for us?
I do. I have one really good question to start off with.
All right.
It's from Stacy Carter.
Okay.
She says, can we get an idea of what to expect? Our group has never experienced a summit before. Do we have a schedule or any itinerary?
Okay.
Whoa.
Well, we do, and
Kind of.
well, we do. And,
Yeah.
it's going to be basically the same kind of. If you've been to a summit before, it's going to really.
But they have never been?
Yeah, these people have never been. So what can we expect?
Okay, Marnie, since you run the summits, why don't you tell them?
Well, we have testimonies. We have testimonies of people's lives that have been changed. We have some how-tos, how to start a Celebrate Recovery. We're also going to have, I hope I'm not going to get my daughter-in-law upset right now, but for example, my daughter-in-law Jenny and I are going to be talking about codependency, and that's kind of an unusual relationship to talk about codependency. We're going to be talking about recovery and how that's different from sobriety. I think we're talking about forgiveness. Those are some of the topics that we'll be talking about, as well as some things to help you navigate back to your regular Celebrate Recoveries when this is all over.
You'll hear a lot of talks from the national team on different recovery issues and how to start a Celebrate Recovery. One of the things that I'm really excited about for this one is that it's kind of, Celebrate Recovery has done well. We've had the online open share groups, and we've done everything we can, and we're talking hopefully to each other as much as we can. But it's been tough. To not be able to have our meetings face to face and our large group times and our step studies. So one of the things we're going to kind of be talking about, we're not going to dwell on this, but we're going to spend an hour or two on it, is kind of jump-starting your Celebrate Recovery again. Now hopefully we'll have already been doing that, and we'll be talking about it here on Facebook Live also. But I think that's going to be an important part of making sure that we get everything back in order. It's going to take some time, and it took me a while to be able to say that, because I thought, whoops, as soon as we come back, everything's going to be the same. But habits are made over time, and if we're out for a few more months, it's going to take some time to get everybody to come back.
And we can tell some more particular things about the summit when we get our guests that we've invited, when we get that lined up as well. Worship, there'll be worship. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. One of the things that we are going to do is that we are going to have a couple of hours talks throughout the time on just that. If you have a Celebrate Recovery, you know about our 90-day startup plan. Well, we're going to give I don't know what it is yet because we haven't written it, but it's maybe a 45-day kind of a jump start or a relaunch. It's really making sure that we don't lose people that need to be in recovery and need to know Jesus Christ on a personal basis. One of the encouraging things, and I'm kind of getting off the topic here, We have had, as Cheryl said, the open share groups since we found out we couldn't meet, and online, and we've also had newcomers groups online, and we're getting a lot of people in the newcomer groups, which is really exciting.
And there's a good chance that our Celebrate Recoveries are going to explode, because while people are in isolation, the hurts, hang-ups, and habits are starting to show up in some new ones. So those are some things we want to be able to reboot our CRs when this is...
Right. Okay, Marty, you got another question?
Yes, and people are saying that it's hard to hear me, so if you could repeat the question. that would be
Okay.
great.
Okay.
I will do
So,
that.
do you have to be in leadership to attend?
Not at all.
Do you have to be in leadership to
Oh,
attend is the
I'm sorry,
question.
I'm sorry.
That's why you're so excited.
All right. No, you don't need to be in leadership to attend. Cheryl is 100% right, because this will This will help you become a leader and get you ready to get into leadership. And my prayer is that after you attend the summit, you go, hey, I can be a leader. Because one of the things that I love saying, I'm going to get off the subject here, but I love to say is when somebody comes up to me and says, you know, John, they want me to be a leader, and I just don't feel good enough. And I smile at them and I go, you know what? God has you exactly where He wants you. Because honestly, I don't feel good enough to be leading Celebrate Recovery. And you know what? On my own, I'm not. But with God, I am. And with God, if you're thinking about being a leader and you're saying, oh, I'm not good enough, that's not God telling you that. That's somebody else. But,
And I
yes,
think
sir.
that's actually one of the most exciting things about the online summit is that participants can go. We're not asking them to spend very much money. Like mostly leaders would come to summits because they are leading their ministry and they want to find out how to do
Right.
better. But this is for everybody, and newcomers as well. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about this summit is we can reach more people wherever they are. Even if they're just brand new and dealing with a brand new addiction or hurt, hang up, or habit, they can get stuff out of this.
All right, Marty, we still got 5 minutes. Why don't we get a couple more questions in?
Absolutely. One is, if you register several people, do they all have to watch it together?
If you register several people, do you have to
I can
all
hear this.
watch it
Hey,
together?
hey.
But they can't hear it.
Oh, okay.
They
All
can't
right.
hear
Oh,
it.
so
I'm
you're
doing
telling
this
me-
for you.
Oh! All right. All right.
No,
So-
they don't.
No, they don't. Go ahead.
That's all I had to say.
No.
You got more?
No. No.
Here's
But you might
a
want to.
popular one.
Huh? Oh, yes, a popular one.
Will there be breakout sessions?
Okay. At this point, we have not got down specifically to the sessions, and there will be some breakout sessions if we can really make them work. And this is kind of new ground for us, so I can't answer that. I would like there to be breakout sessions, but we'll have to see how we can get the whole thing, because we don't want to lose some people because they're not interested. The summit itself is going to be all brand new material. It's going to be exciting. So we're writing all new talks, and it's going to be really on jump-starting your Celebrate Recovery if you have one, or starting it.
And I think we also are trying to plan some question and answer times for the
Yeah,
participants that are coming.
definitely.
If we're not able to do the breakouts, we're trying to find some ways to give some question and answers.
Yep. I forgot that part. All right, Marty?
That's what you got me.
Okay. I don't know if you guys have thought about this question, but I'll throw it out there. Are you going to do communion together?
Communion. All right, we have always,
Yeah.
okay.
They just want to know if we're going to do communion together. I'm repeating it for them because they can't hear Marnie.
Are we going to do communion together? In case you couldn't hear Cheryl. Yes, we're going to do communion.
Yes.
And what we'll do is we will do it the last hour that we're together on Friday. And so again, the instructions that I don't think we can send you the grape juice and a cracker or a wafer, but if everybody will give us some instructions to make sure you have those on hand, and we'd like you to join us in communion. And we also have a little thing we do at the summit, and that's taking our our burdens to the cross, and we literally do that. We have crosses that 3,000 people nail a card up with a nail and a hammer, and it's a key part of the summit. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you some instructions on maybe putting a cross together, even a cardboard cross, a small one, and we will send you the copy of the card that you can do that from your home or from wherever you are. So that's going to be the same experience that we've done, because those are my favorite parts of the summit, and seeing you.
Yeah, we're gonna miss everybody.
Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
that's probably about out of time now.
Well, it's only 6:30. Let's take one more question. Come on. Come on.
How about this one?
All right.
Will there be a class for pastors?
A class for pastors?
They're on
Don't-
a special track.
I don't know that yet. All right. And as soon as we do, thank you for asking that, because we haven't gotten there yet. We do have a class for pastors and a track for pastors when we have the summits here. But if not, there certainly will be plenty of opportunities for them to learn about Celebrate Recovery if they haven't, and especially if you're just starting out. But we will let you know as soon as we sit down and put all the different talks together.
Okay,
Okay?
want to close this in prayer?
I do. I don't know, that's a fast half hour. It really is. Thank you, Marty. Okay, so let's pray. God, I just thank you for everybody here. I thank you for them joining us. We are here now 7 nights a week. And if you need a meeting or whatever, people are saying, hey, we like the meeting. Well, whenever you call it, we like doing it. And you'll hear from the national team throughout the week. So it is a time. So you do not have to be alone. You can hear a lot of what Celebrate Recovery is all about. You can learn about it, and you can work on your own recovery. So anyway, just do not isolate. God, just thank you for everyone here. Protect them during this time and bless them, and allow them to really not isolate. Let them continue to work on their hurts, hang-ups, and habits. Continue to work on their relationship with your son, and continue to work with the people in their Celebrate Recoveries. And if they haven't started yet, God, allow them to reach out to somebody in the church, somebody that they know that they can talk to during this time. God, we just ask for your protection and your blessing, and just thank you. Thank you for allowing us to do this summit. In your son's precious name I pray. Amen.
Bye, everybody.